Day weekend and the Indy 500 coming up. I'll be taking a look at the forecast of what you could expect as far as the weather goes. So let's go ahead and get right on into it. Now, looking at the severe weather for today, it looks like there is a marginal risk for both of these green zones, which include Montana and North Dakota, Colorado, all the way down into Texas and New Mexico. As far as severe weather risks go for today, there is no tornado risk with either zones, but there is a damaging wind and a large hail threat, which is a 5% within both of these red zones. Push off into Friday, there's a couple slight risk areas, one up here by Montana and Wyoming, and another one down here in New Mexico on into western Texas. Now, all hazards are possible tomorrow with a 2% chance for tornadoes, just down here by Texas and New Mexico. For the damaging wind threat, there is a chance for both slight risk areas, which is a 15% within these yellow zones here. As far as large hail threat goes, there is a significant hail risk down here by Texas and New Mexico, which is a 15% hatched area, and just a regular 15% area up here by Montana and Wyoming. And as we head off into Saturday, there's a big area again for some severe weather, which is a marginal risk which spans for pretty much all of the Central Plains. So let's go ahead and take a look at the timing of when you could expect the worst from the severe weather. Alright, let's take a look at the HRRR model. Keep in mind the date and time is up here if you want to keep track. Not much is going to be happening today until right around 3 or 4 o'clock up here by Montana and Wyoming. Now keep in mind there is no tornado risk today, just mainly a damaging wind and large hail threat. Make sure you tie down anything you don't want blown around and keep those cars in the garage if you don't want any hail damage. It looks like down here by Texas, New Mexico, and up into Colorado, it looks like y'all could expect some severe weather around 7, 8 o'clock, and that's going to start tapering off through the overnight hours and more or less turn into a flooding threat, as there is a marginal risk for flooding. And with damaging winds as the primary threat today, looks like we could be dealing with 20-knot winds within the marginal risk zones today, with over almost 24-knot wind gusts as well. Definitely, if you have anything in the yard that you don't want blown around, just please make sure you tie it down. Don't be like Chris next door and have a speedo in your yard blowing into Gladys's property. She can really take it off at you. Now to look at the severe weather risks for Friday, we're going to lower our resolution down to the NAM 3-kilometer model. Now there is 2 severe weather areas and only one area of concern as far as tornadoes go, which is down here by New Mexico and Texas. Now we're going to push this forward, and it looks like there could possibly be 2 rounds of severe weather. First round looks like there could be damaging winds and some hail. And we're going to get a little bit of a break. Now it looks like by right around 3 o'clock in the morning, it looks like that's when our tornado risk could come into play. So please make sure those weather radios have fresh batteries in them, keep your phones charged up, have a way to get a warning, know where to go when that severe weather warning does go off. Now look up here by Montana and Wyoming. We can't leave y'all out. Y'all don't have tornado risk, but you do have a damaging wind and large hail threat to speak of. Now, it looks like you're going to be dealing with some severe weather through the overnight hours tomorrow night. And there's risk for flooding as well, which is just a marginal risk for flooding. But still, if you live in a low-lying area, please be aware of that, just in case you see a flooded roadway. Turn around and do not drown. And that pushes us off into Saturday. I'll lower resolution down to the 12-kilometer NAM. And there is a pretty big area for severe weather, and we don't know the main hazards just yet, but this will give us a basic understanding of when we could possibly expect severe weather. Now, pushing us off to the 28th. It looks like we could possibly expect severe weather through the overnight hours within the whole risk area. But still, this is too far out to determine what hazards we could expect. But either way, whatever risk you're under for the next 3 days, just please remain weather aware. Have a way to get a warning and know where to go when that warning does go off. So let's go and take a look at the reasons why they issued the risks that they issued for the next 3 days. We're going to look at something we call the significant tornadic parameters. Basically, this is what puts all the ingredients together, fits in the one run of where favorable ingredients are as far as tornadic development could be. Now, I don't mean the tornado can happen within the whole zone, it just means that conditions are favorable. Now, we're going to push this forward. It looks like right around 1 o'clock to 3 o'clock is when we could expect some tornadic development, as there is right around a 1.5 out of 10 on the tornadic scale. As we look at the composite reflectivity, we can see that there is some storms within that area, right around Texas and New Mexico. So let's go ahead and take a look at the sounding, and I'm going to show y'all what I'm talking about here. Now this sounding is taken over northwest Texas into New Mexico. As you can tell, it's in the upper elevations, because the temperatures are in the 60s with dew points in the 60s. Now, there's a little bit of a capping inversion as you head up in the upper elevations. Definitely a pretty substantial elevated mixed layer. That's basically a clearing in the upper levels of the atmosphere. Basically, it's like taking your Lambo out on a nice sunny day thinking, oh, there's not going to be severe weather. What's the weatherman talking about? And then all of a sudden, whammo, you get some severe weather. It's basically what an elevated mixed layer is. Got a lot of CAPE. And CAPE is basically thunderstorm fuel, just like significant tornadic parameters, basically tornado fuel. So you see, CAPE is right around 2,000 joules per kilogram. Definitely a lot of CAPE out there. Not off the charts CAPE, but definitely some sustainable CAPE out there. 1,500 mixed layer CAPE, that's the lowest of all of them. As we look at that enhanced helicity index, right around the 3.2. Storm relative helicity running to 53. Definitely pretty sustainable kinematics and thermodynamics for tornadic development for tomorrow. So if you live within the slight risk zones tomorrow, just please, can't stress enough, be weather aware and know where to go when that tornado does go off. So let's go and take a look at what we could expect for the Indy 500. All right, let's take a look at the Indy 500 forecast. Right around 12:45 is right around when the race is going to get started. It looks like we're going to be dealing with a pretty nice race. Pretty dry out there. As far as temperatures go, it looks like it's going to be a pretty warm race out there. It's going to be in the mid-70s out there. So definitely prime conditions for racing, and hopefully Chevrolet picks up the victory. Now put down in the comments below who y'all are rooting for, Honda or Chevrolet. And we are heading into hurricane season. Now it looks like we got a little tropical development out there. A 10% chance within the next 7 days. But still, I don't think it's going to be anything significant. So let's go and take a look at what we could expect as we head towards June. Let's take a look at the Euro model. Keep my date times up here above my head if you want to keep track. We know we got the severe weather happening for the next 3 days, and we're going to be dealing with a little bit of a disturbance that's going to be coming into the eastern part of the country. You may have saw on the thumbnail this little hurricane thing. It's not going to be a hurricane. Now there is a little bit of a tropical development out there, but it's not going to turn anything. Just a lot of flooding. But once that gets out of here by Monday, looks like we're going to be in sort of a wet pattern before going into a bit of a calming pattern by the 30th. And then we're going to be back into this wet pattern by June 1st. As we could be dealing with some severe weather in the Central Plains, and especially down by Texas by June 3rd. Now this is over 200 hours out. Keep that in mind. And as we look at the temperature anomalies, this will give us a basic understanding what kind of temperatures we could be dealing with above or below. Blues represent below, reds represent above. Like we're going to be below average for the eastern and southern part of the country for quite some time. Until right around May 30th, we're heading into a way above average temperature pattern. Down south and the southwest part of the country, we're going to be the opposite of that. Looks like we're going to be in this pattern for quite some time. Looks like the Climate Prediction Center is in agreement with that, as much of the northern part of the country is going to be dealing with above average temperatures, including down here by Louisiana on up into Maine and Florida. Now, as far as the below average temperature pattern goes, it looks like much of the South Carolina and Georgia and Texas on over into California, y'all gonna be on the below average pattern for the next 6 to 10 days. As far as the 8 to 14 day outlook goes, from Oregon down to Florida into Maine, y'all are above average, and from Texas into California, including Colorado, y'all are below average. Now, as far as precipitation goes, it looks like much of the country is going to be above average, except for up here by Oregon, and from Wisconsin on up into Maine. As far as 8 to 14 day precipitation outlook goes, looks like much of the country again is above average except for the Dakotas on up into Vermont and New Hampshire, including up here by Oregon. So it looks like a pretty active end to May, as we're going to be dealing with some severe weather for the next 3 days. If you live with any of those risk areas, please be weather aware. Know where when severe weather strikes, and never fear, shelter is near. If you're heading out to the Indy 500 this weekend, looks like it's going to be a pretty nice race day out there, so go enjoy it. Looks like as we head into June, it looks like we're going to head into a calming period for a little bit until we're going to be dealing with a more active weather pattern. And may we not forget why we celebrate Memorial Day. It's not all about barbecues and being off school. Read a quote from Ronald Reagan. In our observances this Memorial Day, we honor the brave Americans who paid the highest price for their commitment to the ideals of peace, freedom, and justice. Our debt to them can be paid only by our own recommitment to preserving those same ideals. So make sure y'all go pay tribute to those who made the ultimate sacrifice. Never forget those men and women who served for our freedoms that we take for granted each day. Like the video, please hit that thumbs up button. Don't forget to subscribe down below. And feedback is always appreciated as well. I appreciate y'all for watching. And until next time, never stop forecasting.